Detroit is among the cities worst affected by the coronavirus. Michigan officials say more than 6,700 people in Detroit have tested positive, and more than 5% of them have died. Our national correspondent Jerika Duncan shows us the challenges the city faces as it fights this horrible pandemic.
Yeah, Detroit being such a the birthplace of techno, such a huge music city, core value is one of the things is music. So having that taking away completely, it's kind of weird actually. If you walk down the streets, it's kind of like an eerie feeling. It feels like something is missing in the air. You'd always see some person dancing on the side of the street because they got their headphones in, vibing. You see signs on venues this show's happening, blah blah. But now you don't see it. It kind of feels like a dead zone. It's very eerie walking the streets now.
Without the music in Detroit, it just feels like there's something missing.
All of your friends that you've been seeing all summer on a weekly basis, and now I haven't seen in months. So that's kind of a challenging part to keep everyone active and involved when you're not really seeing each other. It's kind of a community broken a little bit, and everyone's doing their best to kind of keep things together, but it's missing a part of you kind of.
Personally, I worked at a music venue. So much of life in Detroit is surrounded around music, and so many of the people you meet are through music. And it's just really sad to see places struggling because they were such staples before, and now they just don't know how to make ends meet with the government not giving them enough money and stuff. It's just really, really sad.
My name's Garrison Briggs. I live in Detroit and I'm a DJ. I've been DJing for 3 years and the genre of music I play is techno. My career kind of started last October and I was getting shows after shows, playing every month. And when March came around, I had one booked for the end of March and one in April, but the pandemic started to take over, and the people that I had those shows booked with told me that they were going to postpone them until a later notice. And so as the pandemic continued, it was pretty much clear that those shows weren't going to be happening for a long time. And so I was on a trajectory of getting more people to notice me as an artist and get booked for more shows, but without the exposure as a smaller artist, it was a lot harder. Kind of put my career on a pause. For the artists and the clubs, that meant no business, that meant no nightlife essentially, because everyone had to stay home. As somebody that before the pandemic I would go to 2 or 3 shows a week and try to be out as much as I can, I feel I got a lot of joy, and it was a serotonin rush every weekend, just being around people and dancing to music. And so when that stopped, it was just oh my god, I didn't realize how important that was to me.
Before this pandemic, I say me and my friends definitely would go at least on the weekends, every weekend, and sometimes during the week too. And yeah, it just felt like a unnecessary thing to let go of stresses of normal day life and just have that time to connect with people on different level than just talking to them,
My name is Jack Donevan, and I am owner and operator of Warehouse Systems, as well as a resident DJ of Warehouse Systems. The first day that they announced an official lockdown, we had announced our party. So it was kind of not great timing, but yeah, so that was definitely a huge challenge because, we've locked up $10,000-$15,000 in artist holds, artist fees and booking fees, and now we just kind of have to roll those bookings over. So it's been kind of tough just because right then we had all this lined up to be really successful, and then kind of had to dial back and just not obviously we couldn't do anything anyways because of the pandemic, but we definitely had to be really wise with our next events since we had so much money tied up in the movement party. And so yeah, definitely it was kind of a huge hit for everyone because I feel everyone looks forward to movement all year.
Movement is literally the best weekend in Detroit, and I just like am so sad about it. I feel like I repressed the lineup because I couldn't like deal with that. And I just hope that it's on next year, but I can't even get my hopes up. So I remember the last movement in 2019, I set a goal for myself to play after parties. I was like, I'm gonna get my career far enough for like, I'm gonna do some after parties, because the movement after parties are literally so much fun. Like, it's the best part of movement. And for that to be canceled after having shows like I did have lined up for after parties, it kind of felt like, well, there went my ambition, like there went my goal, like better luck next year. Because of the pandemic, artists started doing live streams. Twitch got super popular, and artists were broadcasting themselves from their like bedrooms or their studios, just like their home space. And I'd never seen anything like that before. Like, I know that like stuff like Twitch existed, but from like a musical point of view, it got really popular, and it was cool to see.
Before the pandemic, I was getting more and more shows and everything to play at. And then once COVID happened, it pretty much like stopped. It felt like you kind of like lost connections with people and like all those like human interactions and everything that you normally get, how you get gigs and everything. But so I kind of like turned to like, you as an artist, you gotta be more creative to reach out to people, doing live streams, pretty much trying to hit people up on social media, a whole bunch of like new ways to market yourself. That's pretty much what I've noticed. Watching someone DJ on a TV is definitely not the same as seeing them live. So I feel like a lot of people have incorporated ways to make you like still have a good experience. So like their background will be something cool, like foresty, or like lights will still be going on in their live stream, stuff like that. Stuff still give you a great experience, but at your house and whatnot, wherever you are playing it.
It's definitely interesting because, yeah, Detroit, which is usually like this powerhouse, like there are still people doing, like now it's kind of switched to like streams, right? Like there are people doing these like live streams and stuff, like in terms of like, because like because of the tabooness of it, a lot of the bigger event companies aren't throwing their parties, you know, especially because a lot of the people that are, you know, old school doing things in Detroit, a lot of them a lot of them are older or have like health things, and so I feel like it makes it kind of hard when, you know, you've got a demographic of people that are, you know, above the age of 30 that are such a driving force in the events and things that are happening here. So I feel like that kind of already took out like a lot of the artists that would be willing to play or even do things, because, you know, they're either autoimmune compromised or, you know, have had some health thing in the past or have a close relative or someone they're living with that are in those situations. So it's more like younger people doing things in terms of like actual like outdoor like live events. We did a few outdoor events where we just enforced masks, and we were always within compliance of the regulations that were imposed. But yeah, just we made we made it sure that like all the spaces that were doing our events could like accommodate that many people and have the spacing. On our end, it's been kind of tough because, you know, we want to be providing the service for everyone and be able to like keep things going in the community and provide people a space to be able to go and like let loose and like chill, because I know everyone's like really stressed out and anxious during this time, especially just like not being able to see people and seeing the same 3 or 4 people for months on end. So for us, it's kind of tough because we want to provide that, but we also want to do that in a safe way. And now that the rates are really high again, we've been kind of dialing back and just deciding to, you know, take a break from doing things just to like especially with the vaccines coming, it's kind of like risk versus reward. Like earlier, like when we were doing our events, the pandemic was kind of at like a decline, so it felt like a lot safer, and like all the bars were opening up, so it felt like something that could be done in a safe way. But then as the rates are going up, it's kind of more and more difficult to do the same thing in a way that can be responsible.
There's like definitely like a certain amount of guilt that you feel choosing to go out, like when things weren't totally locked down and they had bars open and stuff like that. Like I would choose to go to my favorite club because it just feels so nice to be able to try to forget what's going on, you know, and just like enjoy the moment and enjoy your friends and enjoy the music. And like live music just gives you so much positive energy, and it's so hard to go without it in a time like this. And it's definitely different. like with like the temperature checking and making sure that there's not as many people as there would be before. And I think it just all depends on where you go. Some places, like, there's no, like, Grasshopper, for example. I went there once and there was no, like, masks, no social distancing whatsoever. Then you go places like, you know, your event that, you know, I think there was more caution to, like, try to keep your mask on, like, when you're talking to people, and, like, try to distance from the people that you're not, like, with on a regular basis. So I think that's important if, you know, we want to continue.
I guess, like, I think it was at the end of June or sometime in July when clubs started opening up again. Like, I think the Magic Stick was one of the first ones, and I remember being super excited, being like, finally, like, we can go out. But, like, once you were out, like, it was just weird. Like, I was paranoid of, like, germs. I didn't want to be around people I didn't know. I didn't feel, like, comfortable dancing on a dance floor. It was kind of just like, we're like, all right, everything's normal again.
There was always something lingering in the back of your head, like, man, I'm around all these people, I could definitely get COVID. And it definitely, like, it was, instead of going to a place that you normally go to have a good time and everything, it, like, switched up to, I'm here to have a good time, but in the back of the head, I'm kind of in fear now. And it's like one of your happy places turned into a place like, okay, I'm living in fear where I'm at, when normally every time I'm here, it's always a good time. So, like, it definitely have changed, like, vibes have changed in different venues and whatnot. Like, I remember going to shows, sharing water with random people that I don't know, like, not necessarily putting your mouth on water bottle, but, you know, like, people like hand waters to, like, be all cohesive like that. Like, everybody's all nice, but, like, now, like, if you even bump your shoulders to someone, it's like, oh shoot, I got COVID now, like, let me get tested.
As like a artist, I'm trying to still, like, get exposure. So when clubs ask me to do shows, like, it's, like, really conflicting, because, like, I don't think that we should be doing this. I feel like everything should be shut down, but I don't want to turn down an opportunity to play at, like, some really important venues in Detroit. Like, it sucks because I want to say no, but I'm also getting paid. I'm also getting exposure. Like, it's building my career, and, like, I love it so much that it's just hard to say no to stuff like that. I feel like clubs say that they're being precautious, but they're really not. There's, like, a sneeze guard in front of the DJ set, and that's, like, about the extent of it. I think that they're doing the best that they can, and it's just, I feel like, about the money, essentially. Just, like, in the society that we're in, like, they're a business, so, like, it makes sense that they're open and they're trying to do what they can to keep their businesses alive. But I do have, like, a lot of respect for places like Marble Bar that have stayed closed this whole time. Like, I think that that's really important, and I think they're actually doing what's right.
I don't know. I hope that the 4 a.m. drinking law becomes a thing, because that's a huge thing for club culture, and that's definitely something I could see on the horizon, just to be able to give a lot of these bars and venues a fighting chance of staying afloat once they can open up again. I could definitely see a 4 a.m. drinking law passing. It'd be cool to see all the different event venues and just different spaces that kind of end up coming up to fill the void of any venues that may or may not be closing.
I've definitely seen a whole bunch of businesses start putting up for sale signs. The little venues that we would go to, like the hidden gems we would go to, all start, like, going out of business, or trying to figure out little ways for them to stay above float and everything. So once this is over, we can actually continue having those experiences at those places. That's kind of on the negative side of losing actual places to go to. But now with, like, Zoom, live stream, all that stuff, I feel like it's opened up more creativity for the artists. I've noticed a lot more new music has popped out during COVID. Like, it seems like people are definitely becoming, like, their true selves as an artist lately.
There's this hope always that, like, we are gonna come back and it's just gonna go, like, right to normal, and it's just gonna be, like, all the old times that we used to have in those places. But I do think that the music scene will definitely be affected. You know, like, we're seeing places that, you know, we would regularly go to not having a good time, like Art Park, that just they don't have enough funding. And so I think that's going to be, like, interesting to see which places are able to bounce back from that, like, financially.
It's going to be pretty interesting, because it's like everyone's so hungry for events, things to do now, that, like, when it is allowed, it's going to, like, blow up. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be like this weird resurgence. Like, I can't even imagine what's going to happen.
I told him I was from Detroit.